Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on London Prodigal and we're going to get to hear from Luce today in Act 1, Scene 9. So the stuff that's going on, Luce is one of Spurcock's daughters and she wants to marry Greenshield, but she's been promised to Oliver. But then because of this fake will that the Flowerdale boys drew up, Spurcock has said that she's supposed to marry Matthew. That's what happened in the scenes yesterday. We also have Frances, who's supposed to marry Sir Tom Sivet, and they're very happy about it, and they're going to live within their means. And then there's also the daughter Delia, who seems like she's the party planner, but she has no suitors. We've also got old Flowerdale still in disguise as Matthew's servant, and he and Matthew, he's very disappointed in who Matthew has become. So he told Uncle Flowerdale that the only way that they're going to straighten out Matthew is if they arrest him on his wedding day. So Uncle is supposed to arrest Matthew on his wedding day, saying that like he owes him £3,000 or some such thing. And he's like, this is going to be a bad thing in the short term, but in the long term, this is going to be really beneficial to him. So Act 1, Scene 9, we're on a high road near London, and Oliver's there, and he's all ready to duel. But then Sir Arthur Greenshield comes in, and he's like, I'm pretty sure that the guy that you're here to duel, Matthew, isn't going to come. And Oliver's like, well, what, are you here to fight for him? I'm not going to fight for you. But then Daffodil comes running in and tells the both of them that Matthew got married to Luce that morning. And they're like, what? Because Oliver was promised him, and Greenshield knows that Luce wants to marry him. So they're like, what? But then Uncle Flowerdale and the sheriff and some officers come in, and Uncle Flowerdale confirms that yes, Matthew and Luce got married this morning, and hey, here comes the wedding party. So then it says that they all exit to the wedding. I think when you're staging it, it would probably be more of the wedding party comes in as opposed to them going somewhere else, because there isn't like a scene break there. It's not even like it's not a good pausing point. But anyway, the whole wedding party comes in, including the sisters, Sivet, Weathercock, Spurcock, the whole crew. And Oliver goes up to Spurcock and he's like, hello? And Spurcock's like, oh, don't be mad. This was my doing. And they talk a little bit. And while they are sort of the focus of things, Uncle and Matthew are having a conversation over here until they take the spotlight with Matthew saying, what? You're arresting me? For what? What did I do? What are you arresting me for? And Uncle's like, well, you owe me £3,000 and you lied to me and you lied to them and you made this fake will that was full of all sorts of stuff that you don't have any of that. And he's like, you're so funny. My uncle, he's such a joker. He's such a joker. And Spurcock's like, wait a second, he doesn't have all of these lands and lordships and all that sort of thing. Matthew's like, of course I do. Of course I do. My serving man here will vouch for me. And old Flowerdale, in disguise as a serving man, Christopher, is like, well, I'm too old to make up stories. All I know is that he made up this will that's full of complete falsehoods and none of it is true. And he actually doesn't have any of that stuff. And Matthew's like, what? And Spurcock is like, what? I've been cozened, I've been lied to, I've been had. And Matthew's like, if anybody's a victim here, it's me. My name is being slandered. Can anyone bail me out of this? Because this is total falsehoods. And Spurcock is like, no. And Luce, you're coming with me. You're not staying married to this guy. Like, no. And Luce is like, bless her. She's like, you dragged me kicking and screaming to the chapel to marry this guy who I didn't want to marry in the first place. And now you're telling me that I have to go against my duties as a wife and abandon him right now? She's like, that's not what a wife does. A wife stays by her husband. So I'm going to stay with my husband. And Spurcock starts getting on her and he's like, you have to come with me. And he tries to give her away to Oliver and tries to give her away to Greenshield, and neither of them want to take her because now she's tainted goods. And even her sisters are like, come on, just forget about Matthew and like run away from him. You don't need to stay married to him. You shouldn't stay married to him. And she won't budge. She's like, I'm staying on his side, and somebody needs to bail him out, and we need to help him. And Spurcock is like, if you don't come with me right now, you're cut off, and I'm giving your share of the inheritance to Frances. And then there's this very funny aside where Frances turns to Tom Sivet and she's like, oh yay, more for me. And Sivet's like, not cool, too soon. I'm a gentleman. We shouldn't be happy about these things. But then Spurcock and that crew leave, a whole bunch of them. So now we just have the 3 Flowerdale boys, the sheriff, the officers, and Luce on the stage. Everybody else is gone, and Spurcock is like, take that man into custody, blah, blah, and they go storming off. So now we have this smaller group, and Luce turns to Uncle, and she's like, please forgive Matthew. Is there anything that we can do to make this not be a thing? And like, if he really is a man who has nothing, what's the good of throwing him in jail? Like, nobody here volunteered to bail him out, so it's not like you're going to make money off of him while he's in jail. Like, what's the point of this? And she's like, what if I could pay off his debts? What if his debts were repaid? Would that even things out, and would that prevent him from going to jail? Would you let him go? And Uncle's like, yeah, if his debts were repaid, then we wouldn't arrest him. But like, look at him. He has nothing. He is nothing. He has no one. His debts are never going to be repaid. And Luce is like, well, take my word. Can my word be my bond? Can my word bail him out? Matthew's like, mine too. And Luce says, alas, I ne'er ought nothing, but I paid it. And I can work. Alas, he can do nothing. I have some friends perhaps will pity me. His chiefest friends do seek his misery. All that I can, or beg, get, or receive shall be for you. Oh, do not turn away. Methinks within a face so reverent, so well experienced in this tottering world, should have some feeling of a maiden's grief. For my sake, his father's, and your brother's sake, I, for your soul's sake, that doth hope for joy, pity my state. Do not 2 souls destroy. So she's trying to convince him that she's worth her word. She's like, I've never owed anybody anything, but I paid it back. And I can go get a job, and maybe some of my friends will help because none of his friends will. All of his friends seem to want to watch him suffer. She's like, please take pity on me. For your own sake, being merciful is a good thing. She's like, for your own sake and for your dad's sake and for your brother's sake, like, please take pity on me. You look like the sort of woman who can you look like the sort of man who can understand a woman's grief. Please take pity on me and don't destroy the both of us. And tomorrow we're going to get to hear how Uncle Flowerdale responds to that. So I'll see you then. Mwah.